We're back again. So this reaction video is about escaping the rat race, what school didn't teach you and that. So let's get into it. Because there's a lot of shit school don't teach you. School don't teach you, buy up properties as soon as and as fast as you can. Obviously, don't do nothing stupid. Wait for them to go up in value, borrow against them, use leverage to buy other properties and that, so that you can become financially free between 12 to 15 years. They don't teach you that in school. Let's go.
In 2003, professional boxer and heavyweight
That was Frank Bruno, you know. To get him job. Boss!
champion Mike Tyson filed for bankruptcy with $30 million in debt, despite accumulating over $300 million during the course of his career.
Yeah, because this is what happens. This is what I talk about all the time. You need to manage your finances. It doesn't matter how much you get paid. If you earn 50 grand a year, you need to live like you're on 35 grand a year. If you earn 100 grand a year, you need to live like you're earning 80. If you're on a mill, then you need to live like you're earning 800. It doesn't matter. Jeff Bezos, he's got how much billions? What, 46 or 100 billion? If he don't live within his means, he could blow all that money and go into debt. I know it seems very difficult and it's almost impossible, but it could happen. On a long enough time scale, on a stupid enough time scale, he could go bust. It's possible. So obviously his name just makes money in that. He could literally just do presentations and that and get paid hundreds of thousands, even millions and that. So yeah, he would be able to get his money back straight away and start getting his money back up, but he could go bust potentially. So yeah, that's what happens when you don't live within your means. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid and that.
Which poses a great question about money itself, because a great deal of our actions or our motivations in life have an underlying desire or need to acquire it. But what's the point in acquiring it if the great issue seems to be with our ability to manage it?
So what's that? 78% of workers in the US were reportedly living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I believe most people you come across are living paycheck to paycheck. I don't believe most people you come across have 2 months worth of income in savings. I don't believe most people have 6 months worth of income in savings. Let's say, for example, let's say your outgoings are £2,000 for the month. I don't believe most people have 12 grand. Well, I don't believe most people have 6 months worth of income in savings in that.
Americans now have the highest credit card debt in
That's that fucking Dave Ramsey.
history. Translation: you didn't learn anything!
Debt is
Told you, Dame's right.
an invisible
He gives out bad advice still.
burden being carried by the country's most vulnerable.
Do you know how bad his advice is? His advice is not bad, but it's the wrong advice. He tells people, don't get in credit card debt, don't take out anything on finance, pay for everything in cash. That's not bad advice, but it's wrong advice. Because a construction guy, some guy that's in the construction field, phoned him up. He has like a calling show. Phoned him up and said to him, listen, I've got a property at the moment. I want to get my hands on another property, which is going to be a buy-to-let. Do you think I should get a buy-to-let property and then renovate it and sell it in that? He was like, nah, don't get a buy-to-let property until you can buy that property in cash. So basically what he was saying to him is don't get a mortgage. It's like, blood, how long would it take for you to save up to buy a buy-to-let property in cash? The fuck? Do you think I would be sitting on this property or my 2 other properties or this next property I'm going to complete on soon if I thought, yeah, let me get them in cash. Let me save up the money to buy the properties outright in cash. That's so dumb. Never, ever in your life buy a house in cash. Always get a mortgage. Take advantage of the leverage. Dumb. But what happened was this idiot was burnt back in the day because he over-leveraged too much and that. And he was taking out these 90-day loans where you had to flip houses within 90 days. And then the banks called their notes in, as they call it, and said, basically, we want our money back within 90 days, and he didn't have the money. So because he's been burnt from it, he's terrified of any sort of credit card and finance. And yeah, you should be afraid of credit card debt. You should be afraid of taking out cars on finance and that. But mortgaging properties, nah, fam, it's your friend.
Of course, these statistics are reflective of the UK and the US, But consider for a moment your own attitude towards money and how money exists in your own life. What is money to you? Does it seem to enter your life and immediately leave once you have it? Has it ever placed you in a
No, money is one girl that stays in my life forever. You know what I'm saying?
vulnerable position?
I might have to let her go, but then I get a bigger and better girl now and then when I get a property. You know what I'm trying to say?
A vulnerability that drew you closer to a get-rich-quick scheme or a guru telling you that you can get rich if you just bought their course. Whilst my entire channel aims to tackle these topics to some degree or another, I realize that our perceptions of money are sometimes more crucial than our ability to generate it, especially when our very brains are wired in such a way that prevents us from being financially sensible. Does it really matter if you're earning more than 6 figures a year if by the end of that year you have nothing left to show for it? Where is the disconnect? It's time we solved that mystery. And not only that, but explore a better framework for understanding money, a framework commonly taught in personal finance but oftentimes missed in formal education. A question. What is money? Or rather, what does money represent? When you make a purchase from Amazon, when you're paid for your time working at a job, what is the significance of money in these transactions? Money is commonly defined as a medium of exchange, an instrument that facilitates the sale, purchase, or trade of goods between parties. But I don't think this says much about what money actually represents. I think a better way of looking at money is an expression of value. You hand over a certain amount of money to purchase something because you perceive its value to be equivalent to the amount of money that you handed over. Of course, the price is often not determined by you as an individual, but the market as a whole. But hone in on this one point. Money equals value. Why is that so important? Because often we give money a moral significance.
Quote that I'm sure you've heard: money is the root of all evil.
We look at someone who seems to have a large amount of wealth and think,
Yeah, that's the poor man's mantra. Only poor people say and believe money is the root of all evil. No, people are the root of all evil. The reason why they say money is the root of all evil is because they have no money. So they want to demonize people that have money because they don't have it themselves.
they got lucky. Who did they take advantage of to get to that position? Who had to lose in order for them to gain? And never, what value
See that sort of mentality? Who had to lose in order for their gain? Oh, these people make me sick, blood.
was created in
Don't bring none of these people around me.
order to generate that money. Understanding that money is simply value is the best way to understanding that money is not necessarily evil, nor does it make a person evil. Sure, there are things such as scammers who convince you that what they have to sell is worth value.
Yeah, obviously, if a man's like that, like a snake oil salesman, trying to convince you to buy stuff that don't really help you and that, then yeah, but money is not evil, man.
But that doesn't say much about money, more so than it does their own morals.
Yeah, look, snake oil salesman.
Money simply opens your options and broadens your horizons. The choices you make with that money have everything to do with your own moral dispositions. So, money is an expression of value. Now what? How does this change the reality of a person living paycheck to paycheck or someone who is consumed by credit card debt? The simple mention of money equals value changes nothing. It may make me see money in a different light, but what part of that is actionable advice? To answer that question, I'll pose to you another question. What is your relationship with money?
Hey, we got a nice, intimate relationship, me and money. Yeah, oh yeah.
Money will come into your life and it will leave. This is a relationship that is often expressed by your income and expenses. Another practical way of expressing this, which I particularly like, is your production versus your consumption. For the most part, money will enter your life because you have produced some form of value. And for most of us, this value will come in the form of labor, a job. Money will leave when you have consumed something, a Netflix subscription, a new car, a house. In many ways, we can look at the net worth of an individual as a metric for determining their relationship between consumption and production. Now cast your mind back to those statistics I mentioned at the start of this video. What part of the consumption versus production relationship do you think is at fault here? Consider yourself for a moment. Think about all the money that has entered your life and left. How much of that do you still have in possession today or invested into some sort of asset? And which part of this
I've got a lot of money in my bank account and I've got a lot of money in investments and assets.
Relationship do you feel is unbalanced or needs improving? The likelihood is both. But for most of us, the biggest issue lies in our consumption. Remember the Career Builder study that found that 78% of American workers were living paycheck to paycheck? Well, it also found that of the workers who made $100,000 or more a year, 1 in 10 of them were living paycheck to paycheck. Now, you could argue that someone earning 6 figures a year may still like to earn more, but when you are paid a figure that is well above the average wage and the cost of living, and yet you still somehow find a way to spend it all, I'd argue that your relationship with consuming must be fixed before you even consider your relationship with production. As any wealthy celebrity who has filed for bankruptcy can show us, production means nothing when you have a problem with consumption.
Yep, that is the realest fucking truth, blood. It doesn't matter how much money you earn. If you've got a problem where you just spend, you will find the time to spend a meal. You'll find the time. I mean, it's easy to blow through a meal. Easy.
A rat race. An endless, self-defeating or pointless pursuit. Sometimes the rat race is conflated with working a 9-to-5 job. It's a comparison often used by certain individuals to guilt you into buying programs and books for them. But this seems extremely unfair, mostly because it aims to villainize a job and excludes the fact that there are those who either love or are perfectly fine with their jobs, or have other aspirations aside from their 9-to-5. A real rat race is one that is living on a financial edge, being one paycheck away from broke, constantly. A feeling as though the moment money enters your life, it immediately disappears. And the more responsibilities you have, the more dangerous this relationship becomes. The loss of a job, an unexpected health accident, or any unexpected circumstance for that matter, can throw your entire financial position into turmoil. And consider the mental consequences of living on this financial edge. Your job no longer becomes an option. It becomes a necessity in order to keep funding your lifestyle or to keep paying off debt.
Yeah, you see that? I want to go to work so that I can have money to save. I don't want to go to work to pay my bills. Yeah. Me, when I go to work just to save money. I don't go to work because I need to pay my bills. That's the level that I'm at.
To quote Tyler Durden from Fight Club, the things you own end up owning.
These white men love the film Fight Club. Do you know how many videos I've watched and reacted to? And man are always pulling up quotes and scenes and that from Fight Club. Why do white men love Fight Club so much? I'm telling you right now, yeah, now that I've said that, yeah, watch in a month's time from watching this video, you're going to hear some white guy talk about, oh, that scene in Fight Club. Why do they love that film so much?
What's the silver
you know what, I guess it's no different to a black man talking about boys in the hood are paid in full. So, yeah.
lining? It doesn't have to continue like that. The first stepping stone in personal finance will have you drawing an awareness to your relationship with money. This is often done by journaling your monthly expenses, categorized as housing, transportation, food, utilities, entertainment, and so on. It's about understanding yourself as a consumer. But this part is tough. In behavioral finance, this feeling can often be labeled as the ostrich effect, which is our tendency to want to avoid negative financial information. It's that feeling you get when you refuse to look at your bank account after a night out, fearing what it might show. And yet once you pass this stage, it's time for you to take...
I have never felt like that. I've never sat down and thought to myself, I don't want to look at my bank balance and that. If you feel like when you're out on this night out, or the day after, the morning after, if you feel like I don't want to look at my bank balance, you shouldn't have gone out to begin with. And the thing is, certain people will feel obligated to go out because all their friends are going out and that. They don't want to be the odd one out. If you're with friends that can't understand your situation and that, well, why the fuck are you hanging around with them? Yeah, if you're, they said the word ostrich, yeah, if they're gonna ostracize you for not being able to afford to go out, why the fuck are you hanging around with these people? You know what I'm saying? Why are you even hanging around with people that, okay, you can't afford to go out and buy any drinks and that, but they can't buy you 2 or 3 drinks? between the 4 or 5 of them, like, come on, man. Like, they're probably broke themselves. They're just not as broke as you. Dumb, man. I don't hang around with them people there, man. I remember I went fucking to get a waffle the other day, and I remember, like, you get me looking around and that, and the person I was with, they're telling me, yeah, oh, a lot of people were here. It must be the day that it must be the weekend that everyone gets paid and that. And I'm like, rah, is that a real thing? Like, people have to wait until they get paid to go out and just enjoy themselves and get a nice little meal to eat. That's madness.
Take control over your behavior as a consumer. This often involves the idea of budgeting, deciding each month how much you aim to spend on each of these categories and sticking to it. It's about systematically looking at what you consume and finding ways in which you can minimize these things to ultimately live below your means. In other words, having a lifestyle that still leaves you with enough money to save and invest in some form or another. It's also important to note that before you ever decide to invest, one of the most common practices in personal finance is to keep an emergency fund, a specific amount of savings that you hold on to in case of an emergency. This fund would typically hold 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. The idea, however, of living below your means is an important one, because why would we choose to do otherwise? Why would we choose to live a lifestyle that we cannot afford, or one that places us on this financial edge? I could make an entire video on our cognitive biases. The ostrich
I could make 10 videos about it.
effect is just one of which can affect your financial position. Then there's hyperbolic discounting, a tendency to favor short-term rewards as opposed to greater rewards in the future. This is you choosing to purchase a new pair of shoes instead of saving that money towards a future investment. Or there's social proof, our tendency to think and act as others around us think and act. When the people around you are buying one thing, you buy it too. Or when the people around you establish money as a means of evil, you're likely to assume the same thing too. The phrase, keeping up with the Joneses, summarizes this great problem of consumption. It's a phrase defined by Google as trying to emulate or not be outdone by one's neighbors. They buy a new...
Yeah, that's foolishness. Like, a neighbor will get their garden done up, so then the next person will be like, all right, I need to get a better... Even on my mum's road, a man bought a fucking Mercedes, then another man that he didn't like bought a better Mercedes, like a, let's say one bought one that's an 09, the other one decided to get a template just because they don't like each other. Oh, I'm not competing with... Why am I competing with someone that lives in a fucking council house, blood? Dumbasses.
Porsche, you buy one too. They have nice clothes, you get some too. They renovate their home, you do it too. All in the attempt of impressing or trying to keep up with others due to some form of social pressure. Only in today's world, the Joneses are not literal neighbors. They're far more present than that.
We are all vulnerable
Instagram.
to social approval. We really care what other people think of us.
But the problem
No, everybody else does, not Jay Wise.
is we're measuring our self-worth by how many people like what we're posting.
Governor of the Bank of Canada stated it succinctly. For most Canadians, debt is a fact of life, at least at some point.
To be clear, I'm not saying that purchasing an expensive piece of clothing, jewelry, or sports car is a bad thing, nor do I think consuming is a bad thing. The aim of this video isn't to philosophize about the repercussions of a materialistic view of the world. It's about drawing an awareness to who you are as a consumer. Do you care more about appearing as though you have money or actually having money? The rat race isn't about...
I care more about having money than appearing having money. I don't give a fuck. People, when I walk down the road, people will probably believe, if I told them I'm a delivery driver and that, they'll probably believe me. If I told people, yeah, man, just got a couple grand, just kind of just, you know, struggling to get on my feet, they'll probably believe it. I don't give a shit. I've got more money, more net worth, more assets than 95% of people I walk down the road, and I'll be younger. And the ones that have got more than me, it's only because they're older than me, for the most part. I would hardly walk past anyone who's the same age as me, who's got the same amount as me, let alone younger. The people that have got the same as me, they're all going to be older than me for the most part. Man, put in the fucking hard work.
about working a 9-to-5 job, but living life on such an edge that it means that you are chasing the next thing, whether a paycheck or a material possession, such that your greater life goals and ambitions are placed in the background in order to continue this race. A budget and keeping account of your expenses have proven time and time again to work and draw you out of this race. It's fun to talk about making money or imagining having as much wealth as possible, but what's the point when
I don't need to budget. I'm not tight for money. I just, like I've said in my videos before, I made a video about this. I save money without having to save money. I just live below my means. Therefore, by default, you save money. If you earn 50 grand for the year and you live like you're on 35 or 30 grand for the year, you're going to save money by default. That's it. You don't need to open up a savings account. Do it if you feel like, oh, you don't want fraudsters getting hold of your money, and I get it. But you do not need to open up a savings account. There's some people, in order for them to not spend no money at the end of the month like a damn jackass, they have to take £1,000, put it in a vault, have 2 Rottweilers surrounding it, TNT dynamite, laser fucking that will split you in half and that, just so they don't go and spend the money. It's just stupidness, man. You should be able to have money in front of you, have money in your account, and not care to spend it. You should feel entitled to this money. Like, no, it's mine and it's not going nowhere. That's how I feel. I'm tight with the ass clout money, you know.
your relationship with money as a consumer means losing it all or having to work non-stop in order to fund that lifestyle. That is the real rat race. But with all of that being said, let's talk about making money.
Now, the stuff we teach here, and have for almost 30 years,
Dave Ramsey and his bullshit. Dave Ramsey and his bullshit again.
Proven.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So we got to take a moment and talk about what's going on in the stock market, because as we're finishing up the week, stocks are...
Personal finance channels like Graham Stephan or Dave Ramsey are great for learning how to work on your consumption side of the equation. But if there was one thing I wish they spoke more about, it would be their ability to make
investing.
And I understand why Ramsey are great for learning how to work on your consumption side of the equation. But if there was one thing I wish they spoke more about, it would be their ability to make money. And I understand why they don't do this. It's easier to reduce your expenses in the amount that you consume than it is to increase your income. When speaking to a mass audience, giving the advice that will work for most people is typically the best choice. We see that there are entire communities built up around focusing on frugality. The FIRE community is one example of this, a movement that adopts the strategy of living extremely frugally, saving and investing as early as possible with the intentions of retiring as early as possible. Minimalists also
Yep, I must be a part of that community and I don't even fucking know. Yeah, because that's my thing. Live frugal, invest as much as you can as early as you can so you can retire as early as you can.
share a similar view to the FIRE community, although more deep-rooted in philosophical positions about the world and materialism at large. People like Graham Stephan or Dave Ramsey promote strategies that fall in the spectrum of living frugally, saving a lot of money, and investing in the long run. And there's nothing inherently wrong with this strategy. It works for a wider range of people with varying degrees of income. But let's be honest, Graham Stephan doesn't rely on cutting coupons or living an incredibly frugal lifestyle to be making $100,000 to $200,000 a month from YouTube. Nor does Dave Ramsey rely on these strategies to have an estimated net worth of $55 million. These people are utilizing a means of production at mass scale. In my video, The Untold Truth About Money, I talked about money being equivalent to your perceived value in the market, and the most impactful way of increasing your value is finding a problem in the market, creating a solution for that problem, and selling that solution to the market at scale. This is the entrepreneurial route. A successful business at scale is able to produce a large amount of value to a society such that your production side of the equation grows exponentially in comparison to a standard job. But this isn't a route that everyone can take, nor should they try to. It's about reflecting on your own capabilities and whether entrepreneurship is best suited to your direction. With that being said, increasing your production doesn't have to just come from the strict definition of a business. Graham Stephan uses YouTube as a vehicle to produce something, in this case videos about personal finance, at mass scale. It's one reason that I chose to create videos on YouTube as well. It's a vehicle to produce something, in this case documentary style videos, at a mass scale, to a point where I can now do it full time and build a business around it. Producing is about providing relative value to the market in some shape or form. I utilized my skills with acting, presenting, storytelling, and video editing to create videos that I hope to be somewhat entertaining and educational, and thankfully the market responded positively. Your form of production may be developing an app or software that is solving a problem you believe the market would pay money for its solution, or perhaps a fitness brand that is branded extremely well and utilizes its community better than most other fitness brands, as I believe is the case with Ben Francis and what he did with Gymshark. For most people, labor in the form of a standard 9-to-5 job will be their means of production. But this doesn't mean that your ability to produce stops there. Understanding yourself as a producer is about understanding ways in which you can produce value to the market. If you can produce value at a large scale, then it means earning money at a large scale. The internet has thankfully provided a great deal of opportunity for us to be able to produce something and put it out to the market. Whether the market actually wants what you have produced can only be determined once you've released whatever it is that you've produced. So, to summarize, it's first important to bring awareness to yourself as a consumer, understanding what you purchase and why you purchase by journaling your consumption and then giving yourself a budget to manage and control that consumption. Producing then becomes a matter of maximizing the amount of value you can bring into society through a job, a business, or some other means of production. This is a framework that has helped me greatly, as I'm sure it's helped countless others who have a vested interest in making money.
You could add up to something big. Like, this isn't just sushi we're talking about anymore. Like, this is substantial. Yeah, and then to go from that to like this.
Focusing, is that $170,454?
Yeah, that's a lot of money, bro.
Dollars?
Yeah.
That's insane.
About a fucking couple properties with that, blood. It looks like it's the end of the video.
Hello my friends. Before you click off the video just yet, I want to say one thing. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. You watching to this point is hopefully proof that I've provided some kind of value to you in some way or another, so be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos around the topics of business, money, finance in general, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. I've also got a Patreon where I post behind the scenes stuff and I do questions and answers, and I've got a bunch of other exciting plans for it. So if that interests you and you'd like to support the channel further, do check it out. The link is in the description below. Now, for me personally, combining what I know about personal finance and entrepreneurship has really helped me the most. And as I mentioned, this YouTube channel was one way in which I knew I could produce some kind of value into the market at scale. If you want to do more extra reading on these subjects, if it interests you, there's two really good books on personal finance related stuff, The Millionaire Next Door and Your Money or Your Life. These are really good personal finance books. And of course, if you know me, you know I really love MJ DeMarco's work, so check them out if you want to also see the entrepreneurship side of stuff. But with all of that being said, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I will catch you in the next video or on my Instagram or Twitter if you have me on there. As usual, hands ahead, salute.
So many days is yet to come. So many times has come to pass.
Alright.
So many more.
Interesting little video. That's it for today. Stay wise. Ton.